Yo, what's up? This your boy M Breezy back at it again, man, like I always do around this time. What's up, Cowboy Nation? What's up, YouTube? Hey, man, before we get started with the video today, man, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. After watching the video, man, please share. And let's continue to help the channel grow. Now let's get right into it, man. Bobby Belt has came out and spoken today. This is the interview that we all been waiting on. We want to see what Bobby Belt had to say about where he left off at. I think it was Tuesday, about the situation that's going on in the house of the Cowboys. Matt McCarthy and Dak Prescott and some more coaches and players they had a falling out. They didn't see eye to eye. They didn't get along. And hey, man, we got to see what Bobby Belt had to say about this long anticipated interview. So we're gonna get right into it, man, and we're gonna listen to what he got to say, and we're gonna dissect what Bobby Belt got to say, because we all know that Bobby Belt is one of Dak Prescott's biggest supporters. He's one of the biggest fanboys out of the whole clan. So we got to take what he say with a grain of salt, but we're gonna be real, and we're gonna be real about it, and we're gonna form our own opinion, man, about what we think we hear coming from Bobby Belt. So let's get right to the interview, man. Let's get right into it, and hey, you be the judge.
Yeah, so my phone's not next to me if you try to text me in the next 40 minutes while we're on the air.
I just saw him throw it.
So first off, for those skeptics of what I'm about to say, and you're like, I'm tuning in to be proven wrong. If you're looking for Watergate recordings or anything like that, that's not going to be this segment, okay? And that's not how things typically work. This is not going to be, look, I have forensic evidence here of this happened or that happened. Just like when you listen to the way things broke down with the Jets, the way that that's explained is through, this is what a lot of trusted people through discussions and conversations have said over time. So that's one. Two, everything said here, there's been a lot that's been said or that I've heard over the course of 5 years. Everything said here is only the stuff that I've heard from multiple people. None of this is just something I heard from one person. There's plenty I heard from just one person, and I'm not going to talk about this because I don't know. Multiple people gives it some.
So he's going by what he heard coming out of that building, and what he's saying is, if more than one say it, then more likely than it's true than just coming from one person. If one person says it, it could be kind of questionable. But we all, most of us been Cowboy fans for a very long time, and we know BS when we hear BS. But we're gonna give Bobby Belt the benefit of the doubt, man. Because we understand Jerry Jones and what Jerry Jones is capable of doing, and when Jerry Jones don't get his way, Jerry Jones has his ways and means of getting back at you. So hey, we're gonna see if this is one of those tactics that Jerry Jones pull. When he don't get what he want, and Mike McCarthy walked that on him. So let's continue on, man.
Some veracity, I think, and a lot of this, by the way, has been re-verified this week. Of just, hey, I'm thinking about talking about this. The third thing and the last thing before we get started, the whole why now angle of just, well, where was this the last 5 years? And yeah. I'd said on Tuesday, whenever that was, I said on Tuesday that it wasn't productive before. I was not talking about it wasn't productive for me. I'm talking about these people who will talk to you about things, whether they're venting or they want to let you know things. Yeah. At whatever level they're at, they're saying it's not productive while we're sitting here trying to win to talk about these things. I don't necessarily want you to talk about it. I'm just talking to you about it right now.
And they're not going to talk to you anymore.
Right. And so it's more just a, hey, I want to vent about this, or, oh, this is what's going on, just so you have some context as to what's happening here. But I don't want you to just go spewing that anywhere.
Yeah.
And not while we're trying to win something. Eventually, there will be a time to talk about it, but I don't want you to talk.
So, in other words, what I'm getting from this is Bobby Belt been wanting to talk about this because, he is one of Dak Prescott's biggest fans. And since Mike McCarthy is getting all the blame right now, it seemed like somebody told him, don't come out and say this right now. Because if you come out and say this right now, while we're trying to win, we're going to blackball you. We're not going to tell you anything else. We're going to blackball you from coming in, in the training facilities, practices, or anything else of that nature. That's what I'm getting from this. So, hey, man, and now that Mike McCarthy's gone, it can all come out. That's, to me, that's kind of cowardness, and that's, now it's the blame game going around because you left the room for the blame game now, since you didn't want to say it then, but you're saying it now. So now, to me, it seems like a blame game.
Talk about it until that time arrives.
My favorite response to that thought and notion, and I've tweeted a couple morons over the past few days, and they go, I don't get it. My favorite line is, you're right, you don't get it. Yeah, it's the same Jerry, Steven, why don't you cuss them out, people? You don't get it. That Choppy's making T-shirts about Witten.
Witten waiting.
Witten waiting. Mine is, if you don't get it, you don't get it.
Yeah, and I think also why now, because the full picture matters now. Like, we have a complete picture, and there's been a lot of discussion about Mike was done wrong or he was put in an impossible position. And there are a lot of things about the job here in Dallas, and for Mike specifically, that he was put in a very difficult position. There's no doubt about that, and that has to be owned. There's been plenty of discussion about that, though. I don't think there's been nearly enough discussion about what does Mike have to own about how things went wrong here. There's a lot that was within his control that was out of his control in a lot of different instances. And I think the first thing to start with is 2020 when he gets hired. He had been out of the league for a year and a half or whatever it was.
Yeah, it was like December.
Yeah, he was out for a whole year. So this when he went on his little campaign about, he went and talked to several guys about analytics, and he studied the game more to learn how to be a better coach. Learn the in and outs of when to go for it on fourth down, when to call timeout, when to kick a field goal, all this, that, and the third. And when he came back, he proclaimed that he was, this quarterback guru, this quarterback whisperer. So that's the time, the year he took off and came back and convinced Jerry Jones that he's the man for the job.
Yeah, had no idea what was coming in March of 2020 in terms of just the limitations that would exist in a COVID NFL. But when he hires his staff, he hires, I think the number was 5 or 6 guys, 5 or 6 assistants that he hired, like position coaches, full-time position coaches, and an assistant coach had not been employed in the NFL the year before. It was considered by some of the time to be, are you hiring buddies here? Buddies who none of the NFL wanted to hire after it went poorly. There's one thing for us to take a chance on you. We're taking a chance on an entire staff or entire coaches that nobody had employed in the NFL last year.
So Mike McCarthy, he was not only with a job. So I guess Mike Nolan, all the rest of the guys that he hired, they was out of the NFL too. And we know how Mike Nolan ended. He had a horrible defense. But now, to be fair, Jerry Jones, there's one thing I hate about Jerry Jones, man. He always got to be try to be the main attraction. See, Jerry Jones hires every position coach on the team. Now, that is a bad way for a head coach to come in to coach with guys. I know he probably know of these guys, but he probably never coached with these guys. And that's a bad situation to come in, man, to try to coach with guys that you don't know nothing about, as far as coaching in game wise. All that, the third, man, that's just a bad way to go. Because if I'm a head coach and I didn't hire none of my assistant coaches, so that means I can tell you what to do because I'm not your boss, man. Jerry Jones is. So, in other words, if you goes out there and screws up or mismanage a situation or third or fourth down that costs us the game, I cannot come to you because I didn't hire you. And that's a bad way, man, for a head coach to come in. And that one thing I hate about Jerry Jones, man, that he would not let a head coach do their job. Now, that is, honest God, no truth.
All right, but autonomy, do it. That's fine.
Yeah.
But it raised an eyebrow at the time for some people, just like, okay, we'll trust you. You're building a staff here, but just, all right, we're wondering, is this a desirable staff, or is there maybe some friend hires here? Even the guys who were employed the year before. Mike Nolan was brought in here as the defensive coordinator. There's a lot of discussion from people at the Saints who were telling people at the time, we're not exactly sad to see Mike Nolan leave as our linebackers coach.
But a lot of coaching is a buddy system.
Sure. There's
you know what I mean? Bill Belichick is hiring his buddies.
There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, who's the guy that's hiring as the special team? Mike Pfeiffer?
Not reject.
That is true. All the head coaches, they hire their buddies. They hire guys that they're familiar with, and they know how they're going to coach the game as far as their but at their job title, the wide receiver coach, the defensive coordinator, the linebacker coach, the tight end coach, the offensive line coach, defensive line coach, his guys that he very familiar with. And to me, that's what everybody do in the NFL. So that's not nothing new, but not for Jerry Jones. Jerry Jones hires everybody at every position. Hey man, that's wrong.
That idea at all. Just setting up why certain decisions were taken out of his hand at some point.
Okay.
But he did give him a chance, though. He did give him a chance.
It was a lot of coaches who people just wondered, are these the right guys for the job? Whatever, fine. Do things your way. As much as it was like, well, Mike decided for continuity to retain Kellen Moore. Yes and no. Well, I mean, a lot of that was, there was heavy influence of like, we really think you should keep Kellen Moore. In that process, Doug Nussmeier gets bumped up to quarterback's coach with Kellen, or the previous year had been bumped up to quarterback's coach, and he gets retained as part of that because just continuity's sake, the relationship that exists with Dak. They run into problems really quickly. The COVID era had been, you consistently would hear Mike and other people talk about like, I was really only here for 4 years, or really this is year 4 here because year 1 didn't really count.
Yeah.
It was tough for a lot of people to just accept that because it's like, well, it's also year 1 for Ron Rivera and things have gotten better in Washington this year. Or, oh, this has worked out. Why is this Zoom era, Microsoft Teams meeting there so difficult for you guys specifically? And I think it raised questions of, obviously there were challenges that existed, but were these challenges that existed amplified by the fact that you hired a bunch of coaches that people wondered if they should have been in the NFL anymore anyway? And did you make the right calls there and the right decisions? So...
And those were some bad hires because those guys didn't pan out, especially Mike Nolan. And boy, that defense was horrible. I mean, we started the year off. We was 1-3 before Dak Prescott got hurt, and we trailed every game. We had a lot of slow starts, and that's when Dak Prescott was, he would average a lot of yards, those garbage yards coming from behind yards stats. That didn't mean anything because we were always coming from behind. We lost the game. And boy, it was atrocious that year before Dak Prescott got hurt. It was atrocious.
August, they roll around into training camp, their weird modified training camp, and there's early tension between, I think, Kellen and Mike because Mike has his own ideas about what he wants to do. Philosophically, they're not the same guy at all. They're not the same coach. And I think Mike had said previously he was never going to give up, offensive play calling again. So coming in here doing that was not an evolution of just, I've changed my mind again. He just wasn't getting play calling at the time, but he still wanted to influence it. And he still wanted to. We had that discussion when we said, if he comes back, is he going to have play calling? And if he has play calling, how much are they going to trust that he's going to keep his hands off of it? Because I think that was a tension point for Kellen Moore to feel like, dude, you need to give me some space to do the things that we want to do here. All right. I know philosophically you don't agree with some things, but you need to give me autonomy. And so I think that created some natural tension where Kellen didn't always feel like he had the autonomy that he needed to have.
And real quick, I do think this is one of the problems here. Like when you're bringing in, you can't just like when we did this show, Sean and I met like 2 days prior to doing the show. Mm-hmm. And it worked, but I mean, not at first. Like at first, it was like it was like the first show. I remember the first show. It was very like it was awkward. Like we didn't know how to play off each other yet.
Yeah,
like that is one problem here. Like they want to force somebody on the coach.
Yeah,
and make it work out of thin air. It just doesn't happen.
I agree. I don't blame Mike for.
And that's right, man. You can't bring nobody in here, man, and make me like this guy. Because you hired this guy. I don't know his tendencies. I don't know what he's like in certain situations. I don't know his temperament. Man, it is hard to try to bring somebody in that you don't know nothing about, man. The unpredictable. You don't know that, but Jerry Jones. That's what he always do, though.
Being like, yeah, you're the coordinator, but I'm not going to just blindly give you all the power. I'm the head coach,
right? But the ultimate authority in terms of just what gets done here is going to be the general manager. And so if the general manager has somebody in charge of play calling, well, Mike, you're overstepping bounds now. You're overstepping directives at this point. And you understood the terms of it when you got here. You wanted to get here under certain terms. I will say, by the way, as much as it's been laughed off or pushed off, I didn't watch every play of the 2019 season that was made there. there were a couple people that with the Cowboys that didn't sit well with. Not like clearly.
Well, that's your fault for believing it.
Not everyone laughed it off.
Not believing it. It's they felt a little bit like, understand it's a joke. You're kind of making a mockery of this, though, on your very first time talking to people. We don't love that. And so I think that didn't necessarily set a great tone. September rolls around. They are getting run in some of these games. Even the first game they won against Atlanta, that was one where...
The watermelon kick.
That was the watermelon kick, and they were down big. I mean, they were very close to being 0-4 to start the season. And not just 0-4, giving up historic numbers on defense.
And that was the last game I went to. The last game I went to, it was here in Arlington. And I was getting ready to walk. No, was it a game in Atlanta? It was in Atlanta. I was getting ready to walk out. But I turned around and went back. We got the onside kick and we won the game. Man, that was the last time I've been to a game. The last time.
Which was Mike Nolan. And was a Mike Nolan, was a Mike McCarthy decision, a Mike McCarthy hire. You started hearing about some instability, specifically after Dak went down. Because when Dak went down with the injury, that's when Jane's report comes out in October that says 2 separate players tell her coaching staff's bad. Just, it's not good. And there were some issues keeping everybody under control, especially once Dak was out and rehabbing, because Dak is such an important figure in the locker room and helping settle everything.
How in the hell would Dak Prescott such an important figure in the locker room? And these guys didn't respect Dak Prescott. I'm just so sick of these guys trying to force Dak Prescott into a leader for the Dallas Cowboys just because he made all the money. Dak Prescott is not a leader. Don't nobody in that locker room respect Dak Prescott.
It felt like there was a little bit of control issues. There were a lot of issues with Everson Griffin at the time. There were a lot of issues with Aldon Smith at the time. Those were sincere problems that they felt like there was a void of just like, where's the leadership here? Who's really in charge? Who's running things? And it got to the point that, we're not going to play the clip, but I'll say it. There was the very famous Hayden Hurst clip with Dak Prescott, where he approaches him after the game, mic'd up, and he says, hey, I respect what you said about mental health, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Not blah, 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 but you know what I'm saying. The very cut before that, the Atlanta Falcons unintentionally left on the editing room floor. In fact, we will play it. I don't care, because I don't want people to think I'm just making up this cut. The Falcons accidentally left on the editing room floor, or didn't leave on the editing room floor, Brandon Carr, a former teammate of Hayden Hurst, going up and talking to him afterwards, where Brandon Carr, as you will hear in this clip, and it's a little difficult here, so I'm going to tell you what he says in advance, where he's catching up with Hayden Hurst, and he says, the coaches are S. Play it, Peyton. This is clip 1.
What's up, boy? So good to see you, man. Likewise. How you doing? I'm trying to hang in there like the coaches. I love it, man. Have a good time, bro. Good to see you, man.
And the Falcons, they didn't hear what was said. They heard S word, but there was, I don't know. Okay, well, we got to bleep that. I'm not sure what else was said. It was something, though, as soon as attention was brought to that, people kind of circled back. That disappeared from the Falcons website. I don't think that mic'd up segment exists on the Falcons website anymore. You can find it on YouTube repurposed, but it doesn't exist there anymore. So clearly there was some discontent in the locker room with the way the coaching staff was being handled. All of that leads to also that you've got the issue in November when Andy Dalton gets knocked down in Washington. And nobody replies to John Bostic and what he did.
And that game, I think that was a Thanksgiving Day game too, when he got, boy, they hit Andy Dalton so hard, man. And then none of the Cowboy players didn't do nothing, man. I mean, none of these guys do nothing. I don't even think they went and helped the man up.
There's some sense from people in the Cowboys. I think that's a leadership issue. That's young players out there, but you guys have clearly, this coaching staff has not set the right tone or culture or anything else. A lot of these, I think, can be explained ways. First year, lack of communication, things like that. But it sets the tone for then they get into 2021, and I think...
Hey, but let me say that right quick. But to be fair, because if anybody can remember, Jerry Jones told his coaches, do not show up the players on the sideline. He didn't want no coaches, just say a player messes up, or fumbles the ball on a punt return or kick out return or get a flag that cost us a first down. Jerry Jones told the coaches, do not show up the players on the sideline. That right there, man, that's crazy. That's why this team don't have no discipline, man, right there, because Jerry Jones, he got to put his hand in everything that's going on with this football team. But hey, that's just how the man is, man. That's just how he is. I know everybody don't like it. I don't like it. And that's what's wrong with Jerry Jones. That's a big problem. What's wrong with this team right there? We have no leadership. We have no discipline, and we don't have no dogs on the football team because Jerry Jones won't let the coaches get the dog out the players. But you got to have it in you, though. As you're a player, you got to have the dog in you. You can't anybody put that in you. You got to already have it in you.
A lot of people at the Cowboys felt like, all right, Mike, we did it your way with some of these staff hires. Some of this is going to be our recommendation now because this didn't work out the way it needed to. The Cowboys brass really pushes for Dan Quinn, not Mike McCarthy. That's a hire that Mike McCarthy, to be clear, gets along with Dan Quinn, likes Dan Quinn. Those are all true things. Doesn't dislike Dan Quinn at all. Dan Quinn was a figure that, like when we talk about the Jason Witten thing here, Dan Quinn was a big figure hanging over Mike McCarthy's shoulder for 3 years. Yeah. That was not media narrative. That was a very real thing that Mike McCarthy...
Remember when McCarthy called the Rich Eisen show?
Yeah.
But that was really bad by Jerry. Jerry was like acting
Senior
like
Bowl.
Dan Quinn could just take over the job.
Yeah, and that was Senior Bowl, I think the year after. It was after his first year here, where he said...
And I think Mike McCarthy failed threat because, Dan Quinn took the Falcons to the Super Bowl. Dan Quinn was had a Super Bowl ring with the Seattle Seahawks on that defense, the Legion of Boom. And and when Dan Quinn came in, the Cowboy defense was in the top 5. We had a good defense with Dan Quinn under Dan Quinn. And but then again, when we play teams with we play winning team with good records, then when the offense don't show up, Dak Prescott don't show up, Matt McCarthy calling the plays, and and the defense keeping the Cowboys in the game, but the offense is not producing. And I think Matt McCarthy felt threatened because he knew that Jerry Jones sees this, and if the Cowboys then make it four in the playoff, Dan Quinn was lurking to get that head coaching job because, hey, like I said, he took the Falcons to the Super Bowl. And Dan Quinn is a hell of a defensive coordinator. Look at him now with the Commanders. And Matt McCarthy felt threatened. Hey, I don't blame him because, hey, man.
Yeah, Dan would be a great coach of the Dallas Cowboys. But that's something where the Cowboys said, look, your defensive coordinator, Buddy Hire, that the Saints were apparently happy letting leave as their linebackers coach. That didn't work out. So you're taking on Dan Quinn. I don't care if that's uncomfortable for you. We're trying to win games here. And that's what's going to happen. And so I think that became I know that became a tension issue that Mike expressed to people, where he would say that he was hearing all that noise and that was distracting for him, and that he didn't like necessarily having somebody of Dan Quinn's prominence who could easily take over his job being oversold. I think that existed with Zimmer. I think when Zimmer got hired here, I don't know how much Mike loved that idea. Where that
Zimmer was not his call.
No, and you can hear Zimmer in some of the interviews this offseason.
Do you know who Mike wanted?
No, well, I don't know.
Did they go to DC?
I don't think that he. I think that there's somebody on staff he probably could have elevated. That I don't know. I can't say with certainty who he would have wanted.
Because it sounds like him and Zim get along now.
Yeah, again, I don't think he has any personal issues with these guys. Yeah, I think it's more just.
Man, you think Jerry Jones gonna listen to Mike McCarthy, man, after he gave him a chance, to bring his own staff in, man, and it failed big time. You thought Jerry Jones was gonna listen to Mike McCarthy again? The way that this offense can't produce in big games against good teams, and you think that Jerry Jones gonna listen to Mike McCarthy on what he got to say? Man, Mike McCarthy was way in over his head, man. The man, well, you can see it, man. Bad clock management. Called timeout. He called timeout at the wrong time. Sometimes he won't call timeout. He go for it on fourth downs at the wrong time. Then sometimes he won't go for fourth down when he want to, when he need to. Man, the guy was all over the place, man, and they look bad, man. Mike McCarthy looked bad.
What they represent to his own job.
Sure.
Well, that created a tension point when coupled with Kellen Moore. There's two of his coordinators now that essentially run both sides of the ball. He's a CEO, just kind of supposed to oversee culture, and he's honestly, a lot of people feel like too distracted to oversee culture. He's too distracted by his assistant coaches to effectively oversee what's happening with the culture here, and he's too hyper aware of what's being discussed. He has people in his circle that will report back to him on what's being said in the media and what the speculation is and what those things that exist.
So to me, it sounds like Mike McCarthy is just like Jerry Jones. He got an ego problem. He wants to win his way, because if he don't win his way, he won't get no credit. So it sounds like Matt McCarthy got an ego too.
And that's not a healthy place to be. Now, you can make the argument, as I'm sure a lot of people would, well, that's the front office's fault for putting him in that unhealthy position. Regardless of that, he agreed to the terms of the deal, understanding that's what the offensive coordinator position was. And then the other stuff he was given autonomy over, he really didn't handle very well in terms of making those coaching hires.
But isn't all this further the discussion that the organization is not going to be able to get the coach that we want because they operate in this way where they're like, no, you're taking this, you're taking that. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with Witten. Same thing with Garrett, with Wade Phillips. Why would you want to coach here?
Exactly. Why would you want to coach here? I know why, because it's the Dallas Cowboys and this is America's team. And you're gonna get that exposure. But you know, when you come in here to coach the Cowboys, Jerry Jones in full control of his team. So when you come here to coach the Cowboys and you know what to expect, why get in your feelings because you can't do nothing about it? Why get in your feelings? You can't do nothing about it because you know how Jerry Jones is or was before you came in here. You already knew that. So, hey, I don't feel no pity. I don't feel no pity for you, man. I don't feel no pity for you. You coming here under Jerry Jones and you're going to get what you're going to get. Hey, if it don't work out for you, don't cry about it because I don't want to hear it.
I mean, it's the Dallas Cowboys. Like, at the end of the day, you can say whatever you want. It is still the Dallas Cowboys. And I know you're asking these questions that are fun debate topics. The reality is it's the Dallas Cowboys. People want to coach here regardless of what the terms are oftentimes. I mean, most coaches want to coach here. There are big name coaches now who there's chatter about how they think it's like the Sean Payton thing. Sean Payton knew how things operated here. Yeah. Sean Payton wants to run things all his way, knows he would not be able to do that in Dallas and still wanted to be here because it's the Dallas Cowboys and it matters. There's an aura that exists here. The Quinn issue became something where there's just this natural tension that exists to the point where Dan Quinn had intimated people, it was my understanding, had intimated to people after a year or two was just like, should I go? Like this feels uncomfortable for everybody. Should I just go? But I think he liked being here in Dallas. I think he liked working with Mike McCarthy on stuff outside of just that unusual factor.
You know what? And I think that Jerry Jones might have told Dan Quinn that he might be the head coach for the Cowboys. You know, I think Jerry Jones led Dan Quinn to believing that he was going to hire him as the head coach. And then again, that last year in the playoffs when we lost to the Green Bay Packers, I think that Dan Quinn knew that knew like Bobby just said that there was tension between Mike McCarthy and Dan Quinn. And once Dan Quinn find out that Jerry Jones might be wanting to bring Mike McCarthy back, Dan Quinn had it in his mind that he's gone. He's gone. And a lot of people say that he sabotaged the Cowboys last game in Green Bay. But hey, I don't have no proof of that. But if all this is true, what Bob is saying, could you blame the man? Because the defense was playing good under Dan Quinn. The defense was playing good. They were keeping the Cowboys in the game. And Mike McCarthy was going to get all the credit because, Dan Quinn is the defensive coordinator. Mike McCarthy supposed to be this quarterback guru. Him and Dak Prescott, the Texas Coast offense. Hey, keep that in mind.
Now, over the course of that season, the 21 season, Mike McCarthy really sours on Amari Cooper. And I think he felt like Amari Cooper was probably definitely, he felt like Amari Cooper was one of the bad apples who was spoiling the locker room for him. That he felt like Cooper and a couple other players who I've heard names, but not consistently enough to comfortably say. I've heard consistently Cooper was one that he thought was spoiling the locker for him.
In what regard? What way? Because we just hear, free thinker. There's the COVID aspect. It was practicing.
And Mike McCarthy was very frustrated that he would never practice. That was something that irritated him, that he'd show up for game day, but he wouldn't practice necessarily because of bumps and bruises and different things like that.
Now, I know Amari Cooper got the label of being soft in some games, especially in the cold weather games, in the raining games, things of that nature. He tends to, not play the majority of the game. But Amari Cooper has a foot issue that's been going on and lingering for a long time. Amari Cooper is one of the top 5 route runners. I think he's one of the top 3 route runners in the NFL. And when you want to route runners like that, you got to use your foot to cut, to plant with speed and timeness and quickness. Hey man, a foot injury like that can linger on for a long time, and I think now I'm not trying to take off from Amari Cooper, but I think that could be one of the issues because without his feet, hey, he's no good. And you got to plant, man. You got different turfs, you got grass, you got different fields, man. I'm not saying that use that as no excuse, but hey, the man Amari Cooper still has a foot injury that's been lingering with him for years, even when he was with the Cleveland Browns.
The Cooper thing, it wasn't like there was, hey, I've caught you talking about this or I've heard you talking about this. He just knew that he had natural tension with Amari, as a lot of people did, because Amari's a really smart guy and it's like you need to explain the logic to me of everything.
Yes.
And a lot of people view that as defiance, and it caused some issues with Sanjay Law, the old receivers coach, that way.
Sanjay Law.
And that was a tense point. In fact, in 2019, when he played those 3 snaps against the Jets and went out, that was a big problem for the Cowboys, where they were like, your relationship with your receivers coach can't be so bad that there's a lack of communication to even tell us how hurt you are or to how much this is bugging you. That's a problem, which they're right. That they couldn't get to that point. But Mike McCarthy, I think, always felt like Amari Cooper was part of things that would leak out about people being upset. And so because of that a lot of times there wasn't anything that definitively pointed that. It was an assumption. He just assumed that was one of the people that was really stirring things up for him. And that feedback, that critical feedback of Amari Cooper to the front office about his practice habits, about other, how much does he care, that carried over to, I think, the front office. And
y'all remember when we had Scott Linehan, and I think it was the one game we played the Eagles. I think that's the game that went in overtime, and Amari Cooper ended up catching that tip ball and went in for the end zone to score the game-winning touchdown. And you recall, I think it was after that game or before that game when Amari Cooper used to tell Dak Prescott to what he sees on the football field, and that need to check out and throw him the ball because he's going to be open. And, Dak Prescott was kind of hesitant. He was scared because we all know Dak Prescott's scared. So he was scared to do what Amari Cooper was telling him to do, to check out a certain play, because Amari Cooper got the inside on his guy and who always sticking him. And Scott Linehan then like Dak Prescott override his authority, and he should call the play that he called. And but every now and then, a couple of times, Dak Prescott, he did it, and it came out. It ended up good. Amari Cooper ended up scoring a touchdown. But hey, Dak Prescott do not like to go off the script. He's a company man, and Dak Prescott is going to do what's told. So, and I can believe that about Amari Cooper with the Mike McCarthy situation.
That influenced their opinions on him to where when they traded Amari Cooper, there were a lot of people in the locker room who felt like this is Mike. This is Mike, not necessarily pulling the trigger, but Mike is the one who was in their ear that led to them doing this. And it caused some frustration for a lot of guys. Like, I talked directly to players who had said that they were frustrated, that they felt like Mike, after the trade, walked around kind of like, yeah, that's crazy that we traded Amari. I don't know why they did it either.
A little disingenuous.
And some guy, that didn't sit well with some players.
That's crazy. That won't sit well with me either, man. That's crazy. Mike McCarthy, was Mike McCarthy really that bad, man? Was Mike McCarthy really that bad? And for the guy that always plays the victim? If that's true, man, that Mike McCarthy is low down. Mike McCarthy is dirty. I'm glad he's out of there because I didn't want the guy here no way, because the guy couldn't coach, man. Mike McCarthy couldn't coach. I mean, I don't care what you say. He claimed that he knows what he's doing. He was the analytics, man. He lied. He lied to Jerry Jones about the analytics thing. I don't believe Mike McCarthy went out and studied analytics. I just don't believe it, man, because I didn't see it. I didn't see nothing that he learned from analytics. And analytics guys are usually smart guys in certain situations. I never saw that from Mike McCarthy, man. He could never adjust after halftime. We always continue, even with Kellen Moore, to start slow. We started slow all the time.
Where they felt like
you know why.
If you feel that way, fine, feel that way. But like, own it when it happens.
Yeah.
Don't walk away from it.
Right.
And that, again, that's another tension point where it's like, okay, you seem paranoid about our assistant coaches. You seem paranoid about guys in the locker room. Are we totally focused on football here? Are we totally locked in? And that's where when you start asking questions, did you get the most out of these 12-5 teams? And it's worthwhile question to say, does Mike McCarthy get credit for being able to oversee something that even with those ebbs and flows and those waves still won 12 games? Is that a credit to him? Or then you ask the other side of that question, or does that mean they were limited to 12-win team?
And my thing is, man, Dak Prescott, if you're the quarterback and you know you have a weapon in Michael Cooper, Amari Cooper, and CD Lamb, so why would you campaign to Jerry Jones and say, Jerry Jones, look, I know Mike and Mike McCarthy don't see eye to eye with Amari Cooper and they don't get along together, but I need Cooper. Cooper is one of the top guys in NFL. Now, he's number one, CD Lamb number two. I got two number one wide receivers on my football team. With Michael Gallup, with Cedric Wilson, with Noah Brown, and all these guys, man, look, keep this core together. But I don't understand this, man. They got rid of Dez Bryant, he didn't speak up. They got rid of Cole Beasley, the guy didn't speak up. See, this is what I've been saying about Dak Prescott, man. But y'all want to say this guy is a leader, but the guy has no balls. The guy has no dog in him. Like Shady McCoy say, Dak Prescott don't have that dog in him, man. He don't have it in him, man. The guy, he's a confident man. Whatever they say goes. He don't try to fight it. He don't reboot it. He don't do nothing, man. The guy just he just go with the script. And that's one thing, man, I can't stand about Dak Prescott. And like I've been saying, that leads me to believe that Dak Prescott knows he's the weakest link on his football team. He has no authority to say what he wants because his production in big games is not warranted. They don't warrant that. I'm sorry.
Could they have been better? Does that explain some of the flat performances? Does that explain why there were times as a group they looked like they didn't show up? Were they totally locked in all the time? And I think that when you look at after that 21 season ended, where they went 12-5, they had the big time disappointment at the end of the year with San Francisco. That was the Dak scramble game where they were at home and just got handled.
Yeah, that's when Dak didn't know he had to get a referee the ball before he ran the play. I would never forget that. And then he didn't slide down earlier. He tried to run. He should have been slid down and spiked the ball. But hey, like I said, when you got an incompetent quarterback, he don't know no better. These are results that you get.
That offseason, there started to be more.
And you see Bob, he didn't mention that about that 49ers game when Dak Prescott forgot to get a rough to the ball. See, he left that out. See, Prescott fanboy.
Growing tension between staff, player, those sort of things. They draft Tyler Smith that year, and that is something that Joe Philbin, the offensive line coach, never wanted. Joe Philbin's not a Tyler Smith fan.
You said that repeatedly.
Didn't trust him. Joe Philbin also was not a fan of Connor McGovern, who was here. Joe Philbin didn't think that Connor McGovern was a good enough mental processor to play on the offensive line. When Tyron Smith goes down in training camp of 22, and it's got to be Tyler Smith and Connor McGovern on the left side of the line, Joe Philbin didn't want them handling any of their normal checks or responsibilities at the offensive line. He felt like, nope, they're not capable of doing that. We need to have Dak do it. Dak's got to be able to do that. I think Dak and Kellen both felt like these guys are ready. We're paying these guys to do this job. They need to be able to do their job. And so that creates a natural back and forth where you're petitioning to the head coach to say, make a call here. Who are you siding with? And there was an inclination to side with Philbin, and I think that created some tension where it's like, all right, head down, we'll go to work. But some of our communication issues that exist, they're only going to get worse if we're just throwing more on Dak's plate and taking things away from this guy, and half the line's able to do this. And it caused greater issues, and I think greater tension, just like, why can't we just get on the same page here? Why can't we trust guys to do what they're supposed to do? 22 goes long.
Now I understand that. Now, if you're a good offensive lineman, you know what the Mike man's at. You know where the blitz coming from. But it's also the quarterback job too to know where the blitz coming from, because he's supposed to be reading the defense. I.e., Dak Prescott has a problem reading defenses. So they try to take some of the weight off of Dak Prescott's shoulder and put it on the offensive lineman's shoulder. So somewhere along that, somebody got confused, or somebody. There was definitely something going on with this team, man, with these coaches and these players, and somebody not telling the truth, man. Somebody's not telling the truth. And the way Bobby Belt is talking, hey, man, like you said, I wonder who told him this, because hey man, you got to listen closer to what Bobby Bell is saying, because he is a Dak Prescott fanboy still. Because you can tell Mike McCarthy's gone. Now he's letting it all hang out.
You have the interception issues where Dak throws those 15 while he was out hurt. He was out hurt. He came back late in the season. He threw 15 interceptions. You remember there's the big discussion about option routes at the time.
Yeah.
Again, very publicly, a lot of this stuff, it feels like when people go, there's never been any tension. Just logically think about things. When Mike McCarthy said he wanted to take option routes out of the playbook, Dak went in front of the media publicly and said, when was asked, do you just take those out of the game plan? He said, bleep no.
Right.
And said, here's all the time. You don't see the times they hit. There's this. That'd be ridiculous to take these out of the game plan. That right there, do you think that if there's a very public, Dak, especially who is the politician who is very measured, if there's a public disagreement like that, I think it's silly to imagine that there's no tension there.
Hold up, man. Hold up. So you mean to tell me Dak Prescott, he let Mike McCarthy put him in bad situations, things that he know he could not do, things that he was good at with the option. Because like I say, we was in the option, read option, running back, put it out, bootleg, all this, that, and the third. So this is what supposed to be what Dak Prescott is very good at. And you're going to let Mike McCarthy take something away from you that you thrived in to make you look bad, and you said nothing about it. And when it's all over with, you point the finger at somebody else saying it's not my fault, it's his fault. But you being the quarterback, you still has the ball in your hands, and you still got to make decisions. So there's no letting you out of this, Dak Prescott. I know. The blame is on both of y'all, because Mike McCarthy, like I said, I didn't trust Mike McCarthy no way. But Dak Prescott, man, you got to talk up for yourself, man. You got to stop being a company man. But hey, I know why. I see why though. Hey, man, Dak Prescott, boy, and y'all like this guy. You fanboys, y'all like this guy. Got it? Don't have any backbone. He never speak up for himself.
I mean, you don't have to listen to me. And when I say that people say that there was some tension between them, where you've got, man, you're not listening to me here. I've got coaches that I'm close with that you are clearly tense with. You're pushing out a guy who was an expert at option routes and reading the same thing that Dak was reading. And Amari Cooper,
your best wide receiver,
he's gone now, and feeling like it's something that's almost a little unsaid or inferred that these interceptions are on me rather than communication issues that exist because of things that maybe you didn't have a handle on.
Okay.
And I think that would bleed out at times. In fact, it was after the season.
So now you're trying to put all the interception on Mike McCarthy. Shit. Man, you must be crazy here. I ain't going for that shit. Mike McCarthy's not throwing the football. So you can say what you want to say, all that miscommunication my ass. You on that football field and you call them plays out, and the wide receivers at the running plays, and the offensive line got the block. Ain't no way in the hell. And look, man, I'm not going with that. Hell no, sir. Y'all, like I said, here go the apology tour. Here go the excuse tour for Dak Prescott. The excuse tour is now started with Bobby Belt. Hey man, I knew it was something to this. I knew it was something to this interview coming up, because Bobby, this is a big time Dak Prescott fanboy, and this is a big time excuse maker. And you can already see it coming. Man, you can already see it coming, man. You can't make this stuff up, man. You can't make this stuff up.
I always thought that was insulting towards a quarterback. It's like, you're not capable of option routes. We need to simplify it,
Simplify it. Dumb it down.
It's like not graduating to the next level. That's the way I always viewed it.
Yeah, and I think that was that. I mean, that clearly, I don't have to say I think it was, or I was told it was. You guys publicly know those quotes are on the record. It was frustrating to Dak that they were talking about that.
Yeah.
Because it was true. That dumb it down for Dak Prescott. I don't want to hear that trying to make excuses for this guy, man. Y'all come on, man. This guy making all this money, and y'all still got excuses for this man. Man, I don't want to hear it, man. I don't want to hear it. Whoever the coach is next year, call him play for, man. Dak Prescott got to show up. He got to show up because he took last year off. And look, man, I don't want to hear it.
And in fact, there was, again, I think there was an inference that more of these interceptions were on him than what the reality was, which is like internally they all know that it was miscommunication with receivers and reading different things. And the following offseason leading it.
There we go again. putting it on the receivers. Man, look, man, y'all do y'all hear this? Do y'all hear this? So this interview was all about Dak Prescott. It was not Dak Prescott's fault. It was Mike McCarthy's fault. This is what to me. This is what it's looking like to me. This is an excuse for Dak Prescott. This is all on Mike McCarthy, and I get it. Because, like I said, Mike McCarthy didn't know what the hell he was doing. And whoever hired that man to be the coach of that, hey man, I feel sorry for you. But I'm not gonna let this be a Dak Prescott excuse interview. Hell to the no, man. No sirree. Sorry, fanboys, not gonna do it.
Into the 23 season, there was actually a talk at OTAs, and this is clip 2, where you can hear Dak is not totally happy with the way his interceptions have been represented.
Mike told us early in the offseason that you guys went over every interception last 3 years. What did you learn, and how does this offense help you, or what they're doing help?
Yeah, he didn't quite say that the right way. That wasn't all that what happened, you know what I mean? Okay. It wasn't quite that, you know.
Dak's very measured.
Well, what
Dak,
the hell?
and Dak, I don't think is going to throw.
Dak Prescott very measured. Well, if he didn't say it right, Dak Prescott, why did you go out there and clarify it? Why didn't you go out there and tell him how you really feel? How it really went down? Why didn't you tell us about why you threw out those interceptions? Y'all try to act like this guy's so smart. Man, get the hell out of here, man. Get the hell out of here.
Anybody under the bus, and I think Dak has been. I know everybody thinks I'm biased with him, but
well, we know you are. Everybody know I'm biased. You couldn't even get it out right. Hey, we know you are, fanboy.
I feel about him the way I do because I like seen what he's done over the course of his career here, and he's an all-world leader.
All-world leader with 2 playoff wins. Yeah, man, are you serious? Are you serious right now?
For him to be as measured as he is and to represent, a couple different times. No, we shouldn't take those out of the playbook, despite what Mike said. No, Mike didn't represent that the right way.
That's
that is
really
not the way
loud coming from Dak.
That matters. And I think a lot of people have a tendency when they hear him in pockets, just dismiss and go, you're reading too much into it. You see a complete picture.
So in other words, y'all speaking for Dak Prescott. Why didn't Dak Prescott say that? Why do everybody got to speak for Dak Prescott? Man, come on, man. Well, y'all tell the guy grow some balls, man. Grow some kahunas.
Picture here, and you start putting them together, and I think you can see, all right, some of this chatter that exists, coupled with this, is enough to say that's smoking gun and enough evidence if you don't believe what is out there being said. After the 22 season, the Cowboys move on from Mike, or the Cowboys don't move on from Mike McCarthy. There's been some misinformation there. People have said consistently Kellen Moore was fired, that Mike decided to go his own way. That is not the case. Kellen Moore left. 100% it was Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore wanted out. There was the very famous press conference after the season where Mike McCarthy said, everybody's under evaluation. I don't want to get into anybody when he's being asked about Kellen Moore's future. It had already been determined Kellen Moore was coming back. Kellen Moore did not appreciate a public questioning of his being evaluated when they knew he was coming back. And I think that is where you see some of the tension that exists. And Kellen was like, this has been a tough 3 years anyway, where I felt like I haven't been able to do the things that I want to do. We haven't been able to trust certain guys on the offensive line the way that I want to. And now I'm being publicly speculated. I think it's time. And
this is part of the reason that you and others are saying there'd have to be a little mending offenses.
Yeah, and I don't think it's irreparable. I think you can. It's
so what they're doing, like I said, they're putting blame on other people because look, man, I can read between the lines, man. I can read between the lines. Dak Prescott, look. Dak Prescott, this is the only offense Dak Prescott know. Dak Prescott, man, Kellen Moore and Dak Prescott like peanut butter and jelly. They go real good together. They go good together. And Dak Prescott is not comfortable learning another system. Dak Prescott, like I said, y'all think Dak Prescott is brighter than y'all think he is? Because I don't. I don't think I don't as far as reading the defense. And throwing the football. Y'all can suck up to him all y'all want to, but this guy has shown me over and over and over again he's not going to change. This man is going to 11th season in the NFL, if I'm not mistaken, 10th or 11th season in the NFL, and this guy got the same tendencies. Just because Kellen Moore coming back, I get it. when Kellen Moore was here, the Cowboys had the number 1 offense for scoring points in the NFL. But when we play teams with winning records, the results not the same. And when we get in the playoffs, things are not the same. And these fanboys ran Kellen Moore out of town. Now, I wonder how these guys are going to feel about Kellen Moore returning. I just want to see, because this is why I don't get on the internet, man, and, try to act like I know what the hell I'm talking about all the time. Like I said, because if you keep running that mouth, them lies going to catch up with you. And these guys were talking so much trash about Kellen Moore and ran him out of town out there the third night. Now, if the Cowboys bring Kellen Moore back, it's going to look like clowns. These guys are going to look like clowns. And this is going to be another excuse making for Dak Prescott. It's going to be the excuses already coming in for an interview this weekend. Kellen Moore, you're going to have a big target on your back. Because you're going to be another excuse for taking the blame on Dak.
You've got to, hey, that kind of was
messy.
awkward on the way out.
Yeah.
And that didn't end well. And around this time, not only do you have the change of Kellen going out, it felt like there were some people in the organization, I think, felt like there was some tit for tat, back and forth coaching moves. So Rob Davis, who was an assistant coach here, who wasn't really a coach, a lot of players viewed Rob Davis as, you're the spy in the locker room to watch after us and to report back to coach some of these things that he seems a little paranoid about.
The mole.
And
hey, man, look at Bobby Belt, the way he's talking. Look at his demeanor, the way he's talking, the way he's moving. It seems like this guy here has he's covering up for Jerry Jones' mishap and Dak Prescott. He's covering up. Bobby Belt is doing a good job, but look at how he's moving. Look at the way he's moving. Look at his face, like he really don't believe what he's saying. Now, something that he's saying is true, but you can tell this guy is lying. He's lying too. He is lying.
Through that, Rob Davis was let go, not by Mike McCarthy. And I think Mike McCarthy, then you started seeing some of these. Remember, we're like, why is George Edwards being fired when he's so well thought of? Why is Kellen left? Why is Doug Nussmeier being let go? It felt like there was a little bit of, all right, you let my guy go, I'm letting this guy go. And it became a little petty. And I think that's what then leads to, you get to 2023 and you enter that season and there's already a lot of tension that exists because of the way things ended with a couple different coaches and the way things have gone with personnel. And then when you go forward with the offense the way you did and the struggles they had the first 5 weeks of the season, and we've talked about it, we've inferred it, we've talked about it before. After the San Francisco game, there was a lot of pushback from players on the offense, Dak, CD, others, of just like, these concepts aren't working. These things that we're doing aren't working.
No, because your quarterback ain't no good. That's why, man. That's why it's your quarterback, man. These guys beat around the bush. I've never in my life seen a guy that's got the last contract he got paid he didn't deserve, but this time the guy is the highest paid player in the NFL history. I've never in my life seen a guy just sit back, messes up, screws up, losing a big game, and be quiet and don't have to say one word, and all of his fanboys are going to make all the excuses in the world for him. Boy, God bless Dak Prescott, boy, because you act like a pimp. Dak Prescott is the biggest pimp I've seen in my life. Because, boy, I'm telling you, these guys would do anything for Dak Prescott. Woo! Dak Prescott got that baby powder on deck. Dak Prescott got that baby powder on deck, boy. I mean, Dak Prescott he be pulling that baby powder up, boy. Boy, it's crazy.
And again, there are two ways to view it. A lot of people want to give Mike McCarthy credit, I think, for saying, I'm going to hands off, trust to you guys. I'm going to do it. All right, fine. I'm going to trust you guys. And I think, by the way, I want to be clear because this is something that got mixed up. By the end of 23 and then definitely by the end of 24, Dak and Mike McCarthy were on great terms. Just like Aaron Rodgers and Mike McCarthy seem to be on great terms now. They were not always. It's the same sort of thing. And that's a relevant part of the story too. Why were there struggles along the way? Why did they feel like they underperformed in big moments at times? I think chemistry can explain some of this, where you go, all right, there were clearly some tension points here that had they been smoothed over earlier, had there not been some insecurities about other coaches or about what a player might have been doing, or those insecurities not existing, you maybe don't come out so flat against San Francisco in that 21 game. Maybe you don't have these flat performances at random points during the season. You don't have the poor communication because those things would have been ironed out. But they have the pushback. Dak really takes command of the offense after the bye week last year and was in a lot of control. Babe has talked a little bit.
Dak Prescott took control of the offense after the bye week. So it took Dak Prescott 4.5 years since McCarthy was there to take control of this offense. He said like Dak Prescott really did something. He said that like Dak Prescott really did something, man. Dak Prescott really took over this offense after the bye week of last year. I couldn't tell. I couldn't tell, especially against good team, and especially against that wild card game. Who took control of that then? Oh, I forgot. Defense fault. Defense lost that game. My bad.
And I don't want to speak for Babe and say Babe said, but I think if you've heard Babe talk about this, you can hear Babe talking about, I think that there was he called it on the air with a come to Mike meeting.
Yeah.
Where there was a point to air things out a little bit and just say, let's clear some things up. In fact, I think there was an interesting cut, and I'm not saying this is definitely connected, but I just think this is an interesting cut. This is clip 3, Peyton. This was after the San Francisco game this year, where CD seemed pretty frustrated. And I want you to listen to this with the context of there was pushback in 23 about the offense after the San Francisco game, and then listen to this clip from CD earlier this year.
Last year we talked about this after the San Francisco game, and you had maybe the best stretch of your career. How do you look back at that and maybe channel that into similar?
I plan on doing it again.
What is
you
that?
You got to see his face too.
What does that mean? Realistically, let's say somebody thinks I'm making all of this up, which I think there's been enough inference from other people that clearly there was pushback, and you can see on tape offense changed. Let's say that you don't believe that though. Then what does that answer mean?
Oh, the man said that he said that CeeDee Lamb he coming off one of the best years in his NFL career, and how he felt after that playoff loss. CeeDee Lamb said clearly, "I'm gonna do it again next year." Me having another great year. So I don't know what the hell Bob Belt trying to make seem like CeeDee Lamb is saying. It's not like it's a shot at Matt McCarthy, because everybody knows that he's frustrated with the quarterback. Yeah, even his mother knows, because we already know what she said and how she feels. So, hey, man, I look, Bobby Belt, there's nothing right there. There's nothing.
What does a chuckle and a log? I plan on doing it again. What does that mean? Yeah. I think realistically you can connect those dots. So by 24, when he turned over trust to the offense finally in 23 to the players, and players felt like, all right, we've got trust here. I think relationships were built, fences were mended, relationships got stronger. And that's where when people say all these public comments, yes, these public comments after a year and a half of trust kind of being rebuilt. But there's 3.5 to 4 years here where Mike owns a big hand of things falling short because there wasn't trust, there wasn't good communication, and a lot of times people felt like this fell back on Mike. Again, there are more specifics that can probably be out there that people wouldn't feel comfortable getting into or whatever else. And like I said, at the end of the day, if you want just the final note on it, the final note is they did trust each other and they did like each other, and everybody...
You talking about Dak?
Dak, Mike, players in general. I think players pretty much universally liked Mike at the end. But to say there was no tension along the way is not accurate. And specifically to say, all right, they could have made nice in 24 or had great relationships with each other. The fact is, from 21 to 23, there was a lot of tension with this team was falling short that felt like it could have been repaired had, obviously, if the front office does things a little differently. There's a big hand of things that were within Mike's control that were oftentimes out of control that I think led to a lot of disappointments that you see, and why ultimately it's like a reset was probably valuable, even if everybody had made.
Mike McCarthy, when Dak Prescott got hurt in the next game against the Eagles, but now the game that Dak got hurt against the Falcons, and Dak was standing on the sideline and said, "We effing suck." So all that gonna go back to Mike McCarthy. And like the guy, Bobby said, that Mike McCarthy had guys out there that report back to him about what the media is saying, and they report that back to him saying that Dak Prescott said that we effing suck. Now you don't think that Mike McCarthy went into that negotiation meeting with Jerry Jones with all that on his mind, and with the quarterback Dak Prescott, that y'all supposed to have the Texas Coast offense, y'all supposed to be in this match made in heaven, because that's what everybody was saying. All these fanboys were saying that Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott is a match made in heaven. That's all you guys were saying. And Dak Prescott threw him under the bus. That's why he went in that car, made that video sitting in that car. and saying that he wanted Mike McCarthy back because he knew he threw him under the bus when he said we effing suck. But you should have looked in the mirror and started with your damn self because you just got that biggest contract in NFL history and you went out like a sucker. That's what you did. So, Bobby Bell, this interview right here, man, what I took from this is that this was a Dak Prescott excuse-making interview. That's all it was, man. That's all. You find a way to make an excuse for your boy Dak Prescott. Because, man, you guys, man, but one day, you guys y'all get it one day. Y'all get it one day, man. And when this guy's finally gone, then y'all gonna try to admit that y'all was wrong about Dak Prescott. Because this right here, man, y'all looking bad, man. Man, y'all looking worse and worse every year. Y'all really think that this guy gonna change and turn over a new leaf and somehow get the Cowboys over that hump? Because next year, man, it might be even worse. It might be even worse next year. So, but hey, if all this was true, what he was saying, man, and if y'all want to get Dak Prescott a break, y'all just go right ahead. Because I want to know why Dak Prescott don't never speak up. Hey man, that's all I want to know. Why don't Dak Prescott ever speak up? But we all know why. Because when you don't produce on that football field in the games that matter the most, you have no room to run your mouth about nothing. You cannot make no demands about anything when you're a big part of the reason why this team cannot advance in the playoffs in hopes to go raise up that Lombardi Trophy again. It's been 30 years. Coming up on 30 years. It's the same old, man. Every year. Hey, man, hit that subscribe button, man. Hit that like button. Man, leave them a comment down below, man. And tell me, what did you guys take from this interview, man? What did you guys take from this interview? Because to me, it sounded like nothing but a Dak Prescott excuse party. And I'm sorry. You can call me a hater all you want to, but I keep it real. I'm telling you the truth. If you don't like it, don't tune in. Until next time, it's your boy Breezy, and I'm out. Holla.